Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the new movie, A Haunting in Venice. A Haunting in Venice is the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, which I thought were pretty decent and interesting murder mysteries, of course inspired by Agatha Christie. So I decided to go check out this one. The synopsis is as follows. Now retired and living in self-imposed exile in the world's most glamorous city, Poirot reluctantly attends a seance at a decaying haunted palazzo. He soon gets thrust into a sinister world of shadows and secrets when one of the guests is murdered. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. Poirot is a man in retirement who does not want to be bothered anymore. He eventually is approached by Ariadne Oliver, who convinces him to come to a seance and determine if there's something sinister going on. The seance is for grieving mother Rowena Drake, and after one of the guests is mysteriously murdered, he locks everyone in and says, "No one's leaving until I figure out who the murderer is." While this movie and the plot may feel slow at times to the viewer, that's just the kind of movie this is. It's a slow burn mystery film that allows you to slowly discover things as you go along. I will say at a certain point it did become slightly predictable to an extent, and while you felt like you were picking up little subtle things along the way, there was kind of exposition dumping near the end that allowed what happened to happen. It kind of feels like Poirot just found out a bunch of things and the movie used a series of flashbacks to help determine that, even though those weren't things that you saw at any point. So while it wasn't perfect and the ending wasn't the strongest I feel like it could have been, the plot was pretty good and it was an entertaining movie overall. So for me, plot gets a thumbs up. 2 is family friendliness. A Haunting in Venice is rated PG-13. There's very minimal profanity, but there are a handful of sequences that are pretty dark and at times disturbing. While it did include some supernatural content, I'm glad that this movie wasn't just a big focus on demons and ghosts and blah blah blah. Poirot takes a very practical view of things and is very skeptical about the whole supernatural. Even so, the scene involving the seance is pretty dark and disturbing. There are also deaths in this movie that are seen in graphic ways, whether it's flashbacks or present, and because of those inclusions, I have to give family friendliness a thumbs down. 3 is acting and script. I thought the acting performances in this movie were pretty decent overall, with a couple stand-up performances, especially Kenneth Branagh and Michelle Yeoh. Their acting when they are on screen together is really good, and the dialogue that they have is very interesting as well. For me, that was probably the highlight of this film. From there, the acting performances kind of taper off and didn't impress as much, but the script I thought was very entertaining. I love the subtle dialogue between Poirot and other characters, and if you can catch it, there are some funny moments in there that I really enjoyed. The downside is that a lot of the lines of dialogue are coming at you so fast that some of them get missed. That's aided by the fact that quite a few of the characters have different accents, and you can't always pick up on what they're saying, especially when it's coming at you at a million miles an hour. But for the most part, the acting performances were enjoyable and the script was pretty good overall. So for me, acting and script get a 50-50. 4 is character development. I think in movies like this, character development has an asterisk next to it because you are finding out more about these characters as the mystery progresses, but it's more so just to clear them from the murder, which makes this category kind of difficult to talk about. This movie did what it needed to for it to work, but there are certain characters that you kind of feel are neglected that you don't know much about because they don't really pay much focus to them. They're just another suspect until they're not. It worked for the concept of this film though, which is kind of the point, especially in the other 2 as well. So because of those things, for me, I have to give character development a thumbs up. 5 is visuals and CGI. There was a little CGI in this movie, but because it was shot in mostly dark areas, didn't take away from the film at all. And I did like what this movie did with its visuals. As the film progresses, the visuals start to change. The things that happen in the film that Poirot is seeing, it slowly spirals further and further as he gets further and further in this case. And the visuals reflect that. And I actually thought that was a pretty cool part of the film, and that it used its visuals effectively. It added just another layer to this film that made it entertaining to watch, which definitely helped given that it's a bit of a slower film. So for me, visuals and CGI get a thumbs up. And 6 is rewatchability. A Haunting in Venice is an hour and 43 minutes long. And while that's a pretty decent runtime, I will say that it kind of felt like it was pushing 2. With slower films, that's kind of an inevitable thing, but the film did a good job even with that in making every moment matter. Was it the most entertaining murder mystery I've seen? No. But overall, it wasn't half bad. I don't know if I could see myself watching it again, but the fact that I'm questioning it makes me have to give rewatchability a 50-50. With all these areas considered, I have to give A Haunting in Venice a 6.5 out of 10. This movie was pretty slowly paced, had a couple weaker acting performances, and dropped the ball a bit at the end with some exposition dumping and convenient plot inclusions. But a lot of the acting was good, the script was pretty solid if you could follow along with it, and it very much had the likable parts of a murder mystery that allow the viewer to discover things as they go along within the story. And for me at least, that's why you watch movies like this and why they're entertaining. So with that being said, if you enjoy a good murder mystery, while A Haunting in Venice might not be the most thrilling, you still might want to go check it out in theaters. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen A Haunting in Venice, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.